Are you teachable? I need to know. Are you reachable? Just how far are you willing to go? Are you humble? Oh, and are you teachable? Can you hear that still small voice in your head, showing us where we're missing the mark? Where we're missing the mark. You must trust and obey Him, even if you're unfit, when He took the radar. Know us was teachable. How about you? Y'all need to know. Are you reachable? Just how far are you willing to go? Are you humble? Oh, and are you teachable? Read His word, do all it's best to do. If you want to live forever with Him, live forever with Him. And when you go astray, confess your sin. Even God you did, then God will forgive them. God will teach you. How about you? Y'all need to know. Are you reachable? Just how far are you willing to go? Are you humble? Oh, and are you teachable? For He resists the proud and puffs up man. Just look at me, see how great I am. But to this one will He look, believe in unpretentious man, like grandfather Abraham. For He was teachable. How about you? Y'all need to know. Are you reachable? Just how far are you willing to go? Are you humble? Oh, and are you teachable?
Wonderful. Welcome, everyone. This is Brother Doug with my sister Shoshana, our brother Dennis, and our sister Sadie. We are the Awakened by Yahuwah Fellowship in Yahusha Messiah and Yahuwah Almighty. We are going to do a study tonight about do you go by the barley alone, or do you use both the Equinox with ripened barley? So this is going to be a study to try to bring some clarity to the body of Messiah. So how to start the New Year. So what we're going to do here first is go to the most common one that people use with Exodus. Exodus chapter 13, verse 4 clearly says Abib. So first we're going to see, what does Abib really mean? All right, so I'm going to be using my e-sword here. All right, so now in the Strong's Concordance, this is, I believe, in my opinion, where the confusion lies right here. So in the King James Concordance and probably in the Strong's Concordance as well, okay, it says, this day you came out in the month of Abib, Exodus chapter 13, verse 4. Now, you click on Abib here, okay? So it says, from an unused root, meaning to be tender. Green, that is young ear of grain. So the interesting thing here is, okay, now if this really means young green ears of corn or grain, we should have a second witness, right? Problem is, if you go to other concordances, like the Ancient Hebrew Lexicon that I have right here, it says, let's see here, we have, it can mean fresh fruit, okay? And I would also recommend going to the Septuagint here. So the Septuagint directly translates it into the meaning of the word from the Paleo-Hebrew. The Septuagint was the Old Testament, the Tanakh of Yahusha's time and the time of the apostles. That's why it's the Old Testament of the Apostle Bible. And it says, "For on this day you are going out in the month of new grain." Now, if green ears, young green ears is what it really means, then it should have been translated as that, because the Septuagint is translating the meaning. It's not transliterating it. It's translating it straight to what the meaning of the word is. So my question to everyone listening is, are you going to trust a man-made concordance? Or are you going to trust the scriptures? Are you going to trust what it literally says in the earliest manuscript we have of the Torah? So the earliest manuscript we have says brand new, basically in the month of new grain, which in my opinion, I would actually assume that it's referring to the month of newly ripened grain, actually. So not green ears. So also, let's see here. So also I have a document I would like to just share. I would like to share with anyone. If anyone else has any other verses that they want to bring up, please let me know. I believe Leviticus 23 also is a place where it talks about Abib and it says new grain. So this is a document right here. This is actually a letter written by the person that's the head of the Department of Agriculture in Israel. So, and they actually talk about why you can't go by only the barley. And for certain instances, like you can't trust it fully because there's man intervention, GMOs, and other stuff like that. Also, sometimes the grain doesn't get ready by the time of Abib, and sometimes the new grain is not even fully ripened at the point of Passover, according to this person's resources. So I'm going to leave this in the link description here for the video. Anyone that wants to take a look at this, they can take a look at this for themselves. It's a free PDF right here. So you can look more into this and study it for yourself. We're just putting this out there. So anyway, so every time you see Abib in the Masoretic text, it will say new grain. It will not say young green ears. So that's the main thing I wanted to bring up in this. And let me see. Go ahead.
Scripture that is not part of our canon, but I think it should be, because it is testified in the New Testament as canon. Jude quotes from Enoch, and in Second Peter you see it referenced as well. And I'm going to turn to 1 Enoch chapter 72 and verse 32, and it says, "On that day the night decreases and amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts. And the night is equal to the day, and the year is exactly as to its days, 364. In other words, the last day of the year is day 364. And that day is always the vernal equinox, the spring equinox, when the day and night are equal in length. And there it is in the book of Enoch. And if we go by this, we will always be in the correct season. And I think it's very important to be in the spring season and not in winter when we're celebrating the spring feast. And that's all I wanted to add.
Yep. And anyone interested, I have a PDF of the Book of Enoch that I got from a resource online. This is the Hallelujah Scriptures for free PDF of Enoch. And it says right here, Sister Shoshana just read from it, verse 20. "On that day, the day is equalized with the night, and the night amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts. So it's the one day out of the year where sunset and sunrise, to put it in layman's terms, is completely equal. And this is how we know, and just for secular resources, scientists themselves who actually have no bias at all and actually don't even believe in the scriptures have found out that it's scientifically proven that the equinox, you'll never go wrong with the equinox to start the year. I just thought this would be something that would give some clarity to our brothers and sisters. Hopefully this helped you guys. Hopefully this kind of helped you guys with the confusion of green ears versus ripening and all of that. And just again, so to reiterate, the phrase young green ears is a man-made dictionary's definition of the word Abib, and we don't find anywhere in scripture where it actually says that. That's Strong's definition of the word. And so I would just suggest people research further into the meaning of that word, and try if you can to get the ancient Hebrew lexicon, test it against the Septuagint, because the Septuagint shows that Strong's is actually wrong in his definition of that word. So Brother Dennis, do you have anything to add?
That's pretty close. But the fruit, instead of just starting to bloom, it has to be almost ripe.
And I want to add this too. Since we know that the last day of the year is the spring equinox, then the first day of the new year is going to be on the first new moon of the next month, right after the last day. In other words, you wait until the last day of the old year, and then you look for the next new moon. And of course, we by the crescent new moon, which is the first light on the moon, and that's also in Enoch.
Yep, and just to reiterate, that document I'm going to provide of the research even states that most likely, since harvest has to start from the end of spring into the end of May, I would think common sense would tell me that the earliest spring could start then if the harvest time is supposed to be the earliest that they're ready to reap of the barley. It would have to be in the beginning of April, because if it's the end of April is the earliest you can have harvest time, usually it's only a month apart. I could be wrong, but usually it's only a month apart from harvesting. And it would be really strange to, in my personal opinion, to have spring start that early, like the first week in March, and then you're not even starting to ripe it for almost like 2 months technically. So you're not harvesting for like a whole 2 months. So I don't know, that's just my opinion. I figured I would throw it out there. But
let me read chapter 78 in Enoch, first Enoch chapter 78, verse 12. And on the first day she is called the new moon, for on that day the light rises upon her. So it's the first light upon the moon that gives you the new moon. And this is why we celebrate the new moons, because the new moon is the first day of each month. And that is the day the light rises upon the new moon. It's really simple. And that would be the first day of the year after the last day of the year. The last day of the year is vernal equinox. First day of the next year, the next little bit of light on the new moon, which is a crescent. And I hope I explained that well enough that people could understand, because it's very, very plain in this book that the calendar is quite simple. The last day and the first day is very easy to know. And once you have the last day and the first day, then you've got the calendar, because you just go by what Scripture says and everything falls into place.
So yeah, for a conclusion, I personally believe you need to go with the fully ripened barley with the Equinox. That's the best way to do it. It should automatically, it should be fully golden, yellow golden by the time it's the Equinox anyway, just, because of the timing. So that's what I would suggest. I would suggest using fully ripened when it's fully ripened. And according to the pictures we've seen online recently, at this point in time in March, it has not been even turning yellow yet. It's still almost fully dark green. So I would suggest that would be the best way. Go with the Equinox with the fully ripened barley. Those should not contradict one another. The only way they contradict is if you go by the young green ears definition over the Equinox. But I will be leaving links for these resources, and also on BibleSupport.com for the My Sword on Android, you can get an electronic version of First Enoch for free. So anyone that has My Sword for the Android, I can give you links for that too, so you can have it for free on your Android. So thank you for joining us, everyone. It was great for us to bring this study to you. Hopefully this eased you, and hopefully now you have anyone who's been watching has had some clarity now. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
All right.